Today, a clip scares me.
Alright, that was scary.
I become one with nature.
I'm one with nature.
And I receive a facial.
Let's go.
What's good? It's the Hunter Hoffman back with insane content! In this video, we're gonna install another part. One that is essential for the longevity of our engines. I'll link the part in the description so that you BMW guys can also bulletproof your car. Alright, enough with the talking, let's do this!
Alright, so let's get this coolant flush done. Wait. Yeah, no, I ain't touching that. I guess we'll have to wait till it's cooled off. Go check them out. 98, 99, 100. Alright, so let me tell you what we're doing here. So on the cylinder head there is a plastic flange to which a coolant hose is connected. Over time, due to heat cycles, this plastic becomes brittle and may break, leaving you stranded with coolant all over the place. Although this is a relatively new and low mileage car, these flanges may end up like this. So to bulletproof this issue, we're gonna install this. So this is an aluminum flange made by Ryan Automotive, not sponsored, which obviously can't become brittle over time. Alright, so first we're going to remove some parts on top, exposing the plastic flange. Then we're going to drain and flush the coolant before installing the aluminum flange. So let's get it done! Alright, so after jacking up the car off camera, we're going to go ahead and remove all these parts up top so that I can show you the plastic coolant flange we're talking about. Alright, so first we're going to pop this cover off. Then we're going to remove the air intake. We'll be giving this a clean as well. Alright, so let me show you the plastic flange. So this over here is the plastic flange we're talking about. Let's move this temperature sensor out of the way. Like so. There's a clear view of the flange. The car actually becomes better for the environment, since aluminum is better to recycle than plastic. I'm one with nature. You're welcome, nature. Wow. Nature. The circle of life. The environment. First, however, we're going to start at the bottom and drain the coolant. Hello. Alright, so first we're going to remove this plastic underbody. Alright, so that's all of them. There we go. We're going to pick up all these bolts and put them in a safe spot. Alright, so I'll let you know a little secret. So the other day I apparently lost one of these. So I'm actually one short. And that's not doing things right. But here we are doing things right. Hence why I ordered
Another one.
So now we're complete again. Alright, so now for the stiffening plate. Yeah, I'm gonna wear some ear protection for that. That was very loud. Yep, that looked pretty charming probably. Alright, so as you can see, we've now removed the underbody panels. So now we're gonna go ahead and drain the coolant. So the reason we're draining the coolant is because if we open it up here, coolant will pour all over the serpentine belt area. That will be bad news. You don't want any coolant going over there. Hence why we're going to drain it from the bottom of the car so that we can do a complete flush. The car is almost 5 years old now, so BMW says they have lifelong coolant. But you know, as with a lot of things, BMW isn't always right. So we're going to do it properly and, well, you know, replace the coolant altogether. Alright, so in order to drain the coolant, ISTA tells us to first open up the cap of the expansion tank. Like so. Then to obviously remove the underbody panels, which we did. So here's our Toronto red drip tray. And with this contraption, we're gonna remove the hose clamps connecting the coolant hoses to the water pump. All right, so time to get messy. All right, well, here goes nothing. Here, let me quickly show you what I'm doing. So there we have the coolant pump. Now releasing the coolant hose clamps. I'm not sure if you can see that. I think that's loose enough. Let me check real quick. Oh yeah. All right, so I'm not sure again if you can see this. All right, so I'm back with the flashlight. So there you can see the coolant pump. Here, this is the hose we're gonna disconnect, out of which all the coolant is about to pour. That is the hose clamp I just loosened. So the thing now to do is to remove this hose by hand and then hopefully catch most of it with my drip tray here. Alright, so I'm going to put you down again and, well, we'll see how it goes. Alright, well, here we go. Oh god, there we go. All down my armpits. That was always going to be a messy job. Oh, god damn it. Now I know how my girlfriend feels. Alright, so we're going to let this drain. I'm going to go clean myself up. And we should also disconnect the other coolant hose. So we're not done here yet. Alright, so this is our first coolant hose disconnected. So now we would need to remove, let's see, this one. So we're going to remove this hose clamp over there and then pull off the hose and drain some more coolant. Well, here we go. Let's go. Headshot. That was it. That wasn't as spectacular as I hoped. Well, I do it for you guys. Alright, so while that is draining, we're going to go ahead and continue on top of the car. Alright guys, so now we're going to remove this hose. To first drain it, we would need to loosen it down there. Let me show you where that worm clamp is. So there it is. Alright, so as you can see, it's buried in there quite deeply. So we would need a long wrench to get it out there. But I think we'll manage. Alright, so let's try and do this. Oh, I've got that turbo inlet that's in the way quite a lot, but it's such a hassle to remove the turbo inlet. So I'm just gonna go. Do I have it? I do. I got it. It's gonna be quite the challenge to get this back together again still. Alright, so now that's loose enough. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can. Alright, well, here goes nothing, I guess. Come on. Oh, there we go. Let's go. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and get this hose clamp. There we go. Alright, so now it's time to remove it from the top of the car. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and disconnect the plastic flange since the coolant hose is now loose down there. So we're going to grab a 10mm wrench to undo these two. See how this wrench has a bit of a tilt to it? That will help, I believe. There we go. Use a bit more leverage. There we go. Alright, now before we pull off this plastic flange, there may be some coolant in here still. So what we're going to do, as we don't want any coolant on our serpentine belt or any of these pulleys, we're going to grab some paper. We're going to cover the serpentine belt. I'm going to grab another one, put it down here like so. Now we're going to go ahead and undo these two. I can undo these by hand already. That's one, and that's two. So now this flange is supposed to be loose. So let's see. Oh, here, there we go. I'm going to grab a small flat screwdriver so that we can carefully pry it out with the emphasis on carefully. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we have it. We're going to route it like this. And there we have it. Our coolant hose removed. See this? This is where the hose clamp is supposed to be centered. So you don't want to center it there or there. It has to be centered along this line. So now we're going to go ahead and remove this plastic flange. I'm not sure still how I'm going to do that. And afterwards we're going to install the aluminum flange over here. Alright, so as expected, mine is still in good shape since, well, my car is relatively new. But you can imagine that this plastic flange would eventually become brittle and break, as I've showed you before. So now we would need to remove the plastic flange from the hose, which is going to be quite a challenge since it has this metal ring around it, which is not a clamp, it's just a ring that's been pressed on there. Hence why we would actually need to destroy this in order to remove it from the hose. Alright, so change of plans. Off camera I already went ahead and tried a saw. So this is now in a vice grip. And I thought as I tried pulling it out, but there's a ledge here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see it. So this ring is clamped on a tighter part of the plastic flange. So I think the best way forward is to destroy this metal ring, and then we would be able to pull it out. Obviously we would need to be careful as there is a, well, rubber hose below the metal ring, but we'll just see how it goes. Alright, apologies, the memory was full, I didn't notice, but as you can see, this is the progress I made. Very carefully I sawed through the metal ring. Now we're going to finish it and then pry out the plastic flange without damaging the hose. Let me try prying it open. Yeah, there we go. That was it. Now, get this metal ring to f*** off. Careful not to puncture the hose. Alright, so what do we got? Let me show you my brilliance of cutting through that metal ring without breaking the hose. Look at that. I mean, just look at that. There's no damage on the hose whatsoever. Alright, so that's a job well done, I suppose. So now the question is if we can get this. Oh yeah, we can. That was easy. So this is the clamp that Ryan Automotive supplied with the adapter. So we're going to use some channel locks to pop these over the hose. Alright, that was scary. Let's try that again. Alright. So that's now on the hose. So for now, we're going to install the adapter in the car. Alright, so first we're going to go ahead and give this a bit of a clean. For this next trick, I brought one of these. Scrape up any dirt and debris. And then I'm going to clean the threads. Alright, so here's our adapter. We're going to use the slightest bit of silicone grease. And yes, this is heat resistant. You don't want to put O-rings in dry, so this is... Alright, and my camera ran out of memory again. Anyway, so now we have the O-ring all lubed up. Now we're going to fiddle it in position. Let's see. Even with lube, it's hard getting it in. That's what she said. There we go. Now it's in. Now we can also get these bad boys inserted. Sorry for not being able to show you, but it's all a bit fiddly, I can tell you. That's one. Now for the other one. Okay, so for the left one I was able to get a ratchet in there, but the right one I would need to do by hand. You don't want to over tighten these. This is aluminium on aluminium after all. Alright, so I'm going to tighten these by hand. Yeah, that'll do. So now we're going to go ahead and reinsert the hose into the engine bay. Then I'm going to tighten it back down again, all the way down there. I'm going to do that off camera. That's not necessarily very interesting to see. Yeah, so here we go and reinstall the temperature sensor like so. And now we're going to go ahead and feed this coolant hose back down the engine again. I'm going to reconnect the hose clamp to the thermostat, and then afterwards we're going to get this clamp over the aluminum flange, reconnect the coolant hoses to the water pump, button everything back down again, and then we're going to go ahead and bleed the system after we obviously filled up the coolant with new coolant. So first we're going to remove these towels. We didn't drop any coolant, which is nice. I'll do the hose clamp from the bottom. First we're going to feed it into the engine bay like so. All right, and then off camera I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get back down under the car again and reconnect all the hoses from the bottom. All right, so let me quickly show you what I've done now. Let me take you under the car. Yeah, so I reconnected the hose, which is connected to the flange up top. That hose over there. And then I also reconnected these coolant hoses back to the water pump. So as you can see, everything is reconnected now. So now we're going to button down the underbody parts of the car and then continue up top. Alright guys, so now that everything is buttoned down again down there, we're now going to go ahead and connect the coolant hose to the aluminium flange. For that, we're first going to remove the temperature sensor again, like so. And then we're going to slide this under here and across there. And then hopefully this slides on rather easily. It's a bit hard though to get that clip correctly seated. You know what? I'm going to do this differently. We're going to loosen the flange again and then connect the hose correctly with the clip already attached, and then we're going to reconnect the flange to the cylinder head. Alright, so as you can see, the flange is now connected to the cylinder head and the hose as well to the flange with the clip in its place. Like, the cooling system is now closed circuit again. And now we're going to go ahead and continue with the coolant. Alright, so here we have our coolant. It's the blue BMW lifetime coolant. This is distilled water. So this is half a liter of coolant, as these bottles go per 1.5 liters. So as you can see, I took half a liter out of it so that we have a 1-to-1 ratio of distilled water and coolant. So we're now going to pour this into the car, and then we're going to go ahead and bleed the system. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put the funnel in here. Then we're going to grab our distilled water and our coolant. I don't have anything to mix it with, so I'm just going to go ahead and pour these simultaneously. That should probably get things mixed up. Let's just imagine that it's kind of a cocktail. Alright, so now we can use the empty one as a mixing bottle for the distilled water and the coolant following. And to let the coolant flow better, we're going to open the bleed screw, like so. So then for the next batch, and another. Alright, so since it's now full, as you can see, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bleed the system. And there's a special procedure which you need to follow. First we would need to put the bleed screw back in. Then after cleaning up this one, you have to fully close it. Alright, so let me take you inside the car. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn the ignition on, like so. Then we would need to switch our low beams on, like so. So now we'd need to turn on the heating up to the highest setting, like so, and have the heater go on the lowest speed. So not this one, but this one. Then we would need to press the accelerator for 10 seconds. Like so. Then it says battery almost dead. But what I wanted to show you, not sure if you can hear that, but the water pump is actually bleeding itself now, which is pretty cool. So this will take about 12 minutes, it says. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and find a battery charger to get it hooked up. And yeah, after the bleed is done, we're going to go ahead and fill up the coolant system if necessary. As you can see, the level is now here. So I suppose that after the bleeding procedure, it will be a bit lower. And then afterwards we'll just fill it up again. Alright, so as you can see, the coolant level is now considerably lower. Let's see if it looks to be okay, but I'm gonna bleed it one more time just to be sure. So in the meantime, as I said, I connected a battery charger. Yeah, I also went ahead and started installing this to save some time. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one more time, and then afterwards I'll fill it up. Alright, so after the second bleeding procedure, I noted that the coolant hasn't dropped down any further. So as this is the maximum, I would say we're, well, pretty much at the maximum. Okay, well, yeah, as you can hear, I'm actually bleeding it for a third time. I wanted to make sure that this is completely bled. I don't want any hot pockets in my engine block, so yeah. I already have PTSD because of the Mini, so I don't want to have that with my BMW as well. So yeah, one more time and then afterwards we're done.
So that was it. The coolant level remained the same after the final bleeding procedure, meaning that no air was left in the cooling system. So, no leaks, everything works fine, it's a job well done. But guys, we need to talk. What is this all about? According to this, 30 million of you have not subscribed. I mean, you do you obviously, but consider subscribing if you want me to continue to make some more insane content! Guys, in all seriousness, thank you so much for watching and see you next time!